Hello from sunny Dubai. Welcome to another episode of Design in Service brought to you by CKP Hospitality Consultants, the podcast where we explore strategies, stories, and systems behind world-class hospitality. Now, today we have a special guest, people. Joining us today is Mr. Alburn William, Group President of CKP, a guiding force behind the company. Welcome, Alburn, and congratulations on our 40th.
Hey, Mel. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here with your audience and to share a little bit of my stories. I've got a lot of stories to tell,
You
40
sure
years
do.
of stories.
That's 4 decades of stories that you have
Absolutely.
going for you.
Makes me feel young.
We're not dating you here, Alvin. So CKP turns 40 this year,
Yes.
right? So 4 decades of hospitality design. And how does it feel looking back at everything that brought us here?
Well, rewarding but challenging. It was not an easy ride. I mean, we had 4 crises and 3 booms. And can you imagine every time that transition took place, it put the organization through a complete new set of parameters,
Yeah.
new challenges. The old was over, the new had begun.
That is
4
so true.
times.
That is true.
Yeah.
4 times over. If you would describe CKP's journey in a sentence, I mean, what would it be?
I would say, since as consultants we're selling wisdom, some people think we sell knowledge, but we're not selling knowledge. We were really truly selling wisdom. And wisdom is something you never arrive at. It's always an elusive, moving target. It's always ahead of you somewhere in the future. And as long as you keep stretching your hand towards it, you will be able to somewhat attain towards it, but never quite reaching. And that's the thing about wisdom. It's always elusive, but it keeps you moving.
That is so true. I mean, knowledge can be attained anywhere these days. I mean, with information at your
Absolutely.
fingertips.
ChatGPT.
Chat GPT, DeepSeek. I mean, you can get information anywhere you seek, well, anywhere you want to look for it now. And it's at your fingertips, first of all. So I think, that's a powerful statement you made there, that we are definitely selling wisdom.
Yep.
So let's rewind the clock back. Tell us how CKP started and what was the original vision behind CKP. I mean, not everyone knows, not all of the viewers know that CKP started off as creative kitchen planners. So maybe we could start from there and just tell us a little bit more about creative kitchen planners back in the day and the vision to that.
Well, in order to answer that question, I have to go a little bit earlier. I have to go back in time. Further back in time when the pioneer Christian Petzold came to Singapore, and the context then was big on offering consultancy, and they offered consultancy, and alongside it they'll offer equipment, and they had expats doing the consulting work, and so the competitor saw that there was a need in the market for wisdom. And so that's how Christian got into Singapore.
Right.
And after a few years, Christian realized that you could not do consulting and sell equipment at the same time. There was something awfully wrong with it, ethically, in terms of independence. So he started Christian Carl Petzold Consultants, and that's how we began. But Christian, being an operational person, a chef, he brought operational design to the whole equation of things. Yes, true enough, the scope of work was framed kitchen design.
Right.
But with kitchen design came everything that was back of house design related.
How true.
And that's how CKP was doing it and did so for 10 years until the market started reacting to that and saying, maybe if this is CKP scope of work, we can do it for a fraction.
Wow.
And that put a great stress on operational design.
Right.
So we began with operational design, but then got squeezed down to kitchen design. And then over the course of time, CKP being primarily led by engineers, we refined the methodology, raised the standards in the bar up high, and certain clients understood what we were bringing to the table as versus somebody was cut pasting and called it consulting. But we've made that one circle. We've gone back to operational design. We're now calling it Octopus, master planning. We've taken what we used to offer for free and taken it to new heights, new content, new ramification, And now we're calling it specialized master planning scope of works.
I think now the market and also the clientele has evolved, and the demands, even the demographics of travelers have evolved over the years. So, Alban, I mean, going back to back then when you were first starting off in CKP in Singapore, do you remember your first project with CKP, and what stood out most about that project to you?
Sure. My first role was draftsman.
Wow.
Yes, I was draftsman for 6 months, project coordinator for 6 months, and project manager after that. I mean, 3 job roles within a year. And so I had to start on this job by going and taking site measurements. And we didn't have AutoCAD then, so I had to stencil. And
Stencil.
yes, and there is a difference between designers then and designers now. They drag and drop symbols without understanding what the symbols mean. I
That
had
is
to
true.
draw every symbol. So that means I had to check brochures. I got to ask silly questions like, why is the gusset 50 and not 40?
Exactly.
Why are the cross rails 150 high from the floor and not 100?
Exactly.
And every single question had an answer. And that kind of wisdom is not available to many designers today because they presume that that's the way it should be. So I started off with drafting and then had to write specs, had to put the tender package together, call for tenders. I mean, I was doing everything that a 5-man power team would do today, for
True that,
example.
from start to finish.
Yes. And so we finished the bakery and pastry, and I would say that that was my first project, and that got me to a project manager role. And having done that 1 year of work, I realized what was seriously wrong with the way we were doing things. We were so manually driven in the
Right.
way we were doing consulting. I had to do something about reducing the time.
The engineer in you came out.
That's right. You have to re-engineer the process. This is too difficult. And that's been the mantra from day one, that we have to cut down the steps in doing things.
That's right.
And doing it
Efficiency.
better. Yes, efficiency.
Efficiency.
Absolutely.
Wow. So, Alban, I mean, one would wonder, and I'm sure the viewers are wondering, like, what is your background? Like, what did you study and how did you get into the role? I mean, no one really relates engineering to, food service or kitchen design. So what was your background?
That's a very good question. In fact, when I got interviewed, Christian looked at my CV and he said, well, I look at your CV and the one that stands out the most valuable here in our enterprise is that you were a cook before. I said, what? You mean to say I studied engineering in vain?
Exactly.
So I was not the traditional engineering type. I used to sketch, I used to paint, I used to draw, and I think that was one of the skill sets that I brought to CKP. But I also cooked. And I worked in an Italian restaurant as a cook, and that gave me an understanding of how the dynamics work in the back of house. At the same time, I was an engineer as well, which means every step has to be thought through in detail. Efficiency is very, very important. So I brought all of this to bear on my scope of work. And that's it.
I'm sure you added a lot of value to CKP at that point of time, especially bringing that efficiency and engineering take on trimming down processes and just improving the overall delivery. So very interesting background there. Now, what was the market like back then? And especially in food service consultancy, and what were we or CKP doing differently from the rest?
Well, I think many people saw your service as selling drawings.
Drafting.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask somebody to offer you a food service design consultancy service, they would think that you're selling drawings. In India, they used to call it selling drawings.
Really?
Yeah. Kitchen design drawing package. That's how they used to call it. But that didn't make sense, because when we do food service design, we look at the man-machine steps,
Right.
The whole recipe, how the recipe translates into equipment, a process, and what's the volumetric approach towards each cycle of production. So we look at every single thing as an engineer,
Right.
but it's not just putting a layout together or cutting paste from a template. It is understanding the dynamics of what happens behind the scenes. How does the chef think? How does the chef become efficient?
Right.
It's
right.
not just drawing. And this is, I think, the difference here.
I think it's innate in an engineer to want to make everything efficient, to look at a process, to understand. In order to become efficient, you actually have to break down every single segment of that process and understand how it interacts and how it relates to what the objectives are at that point of time. And I think that's always been something that we brought that was very different from what everyone else did. We do have a team of engineers that are managing projects aside from architects, interior design. I thought that was when I first joined CKP, I thought that was a very interesting myriad of just different trades and background in one office.
But as a chemical engineer, you understand, how
processes. It's process driven.
Yes.
So, but in everything, when we look at it holistically, each one of us engineers, like you're a mechanical, I'm a chemical, Prakash is electrical, Van is civil, and then we have a marine engineer, Joseph,
Yes.
on the team. But everyone has one core skill, which is creating efficiency, because at the
Yes.
end of the day, we're still engineers.
It's systematic thinking.
It's
What
systematic.
engineering teaches you is to take a box of problems and break it up into little boxes,
Small pieces.
solving every single
Correct.
box, and therefore solving the entire problem.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you can't, people have asked me this question. You're an engineer. What do you know about culinary operations? How can I go to you for consultancy and design advice? And that's when I explained to them that an engineer is supposed to ask you the questions, understand your process, be familiar with your methodology, analyze your recipe,
That's right.
and then come up with a system where the chef can work in a generic way.
Exactly.
And that's the work of an engineer. And even in kitchen design, it's not just kitchen design specific. A food service consultant will have to look at the entire back of house operations that supports the food service
The
function.
macro.
Yes. The logistics, the supply
Correct.
chain, the storage, the routing, the corridor widths, the storage capacity for each F&B outlet.
That's right.
There is a lot to look at.
There's a lot to
because
ask.
Yes.
And that's, I think, where, when we come onto a project, a lot of people go, why are you asking? I've had that question before. Why are you asking these questions?
Yeah.
Well, I need to know. So
Yeah.
I understand whether there's any inefficiencies that can be made more efficient, and how can we maybe support and complement the operation better.
Yes.
So very interesting. And I think that's what differentiates us for the most. So let's talk about 97, 98 Asian financial crisis. Many businesses did fold. I mean, it was a really hard time growing up, even, just watching businesses close and fold at that point of time. What made you double down, and or what kept you going, and how did you get through that period? It was a very tough time.
It was a tough time. And I would say that our spirits were broken. Broken because there was no work. Nobody was knocking on our door for 6 months. Nobody was paying our bills, our invoices. 700,000 ringgit. Can you imagine 20 years ago? What's its worth? It's like 5 times. That's the amount of money people were owing us. And I was saying, how are we going to pay our bills? And I had just gotten married. And a child was on the way. And it was really, really difficult. We had to take a knife and go through all the costs. Take down our cost of operations by 40%. We were paying salaries, but we were not doing any work. At that time, there was no understanding of reducing the number of days, paying less salaries, and sending people back home so that they can do some part-time work. There was no such understanding. It was still old world model.
It's a different time.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we had to cut salaries. And when we did cut salaries, about 50% of our staff, they left CKP.
Wow.
And so we were very demoralized, and we had manufacturers and contractors knocking on our doors and asking us what's going on. And they were bleeding as well. And they said to me that, you think that you're ethical, you don't take commissions. But, quite honestly, we think you're stupid.
Wow.
You're stupid because you do not know how to survive in a world. It's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
You got to just stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
So
Gotta
they
do what you got to do.
yes, and we think you're a fool. You should be going
Wow.
around and making deals with manufacturers and taking commissions so that you can weather against storms such as this.
It's a lot of pressure there, since everyone is making out like
Yeah.
it's okay to do these things
Yeah,
and
yeah.
take commissions. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it was
a
the
lot of
status
pressure.
quo. That's how people
Yeah.
thought. And we were sticking out like a sore thumb because we were so ethical. So we were at the crossroads and we were wondering, had we done the wrong thing? Should we now be making deals with whatever little jobs that are going to be moving? Should we be taking commissions? And I think you can say it was like a divine intervention. And I was like, what do I do? And I realized that strategically there was something that I needed to do. I should stick to the straight and narrow path and not take the broad way, because everybody takes the broad way and shipwreck their lives. I realized that if we took commissions, we will someday shipwreck our lives. And then the second thing is we realized we were too much vested in Southeast Asia. Primarily, most of our work was in Malaysia and Indonesia. I realized we had to go outside of those zones and knock on doors in places where we don't traditionally do work. And the third thing is benchmark on excellence. Create a chasm so wide between us and the next, our competitor. And by creating the chasm, the clients will understand what we stand for, and clients are willing to pay for quality. There will always be a band of clients who will pay for extraordinary wisdom. And so what did I do? I took my haversack, I flew economy class, I knocked on doors and made deals. We got 3 projects from Shangri-La in Hong Kong.
Wow.
But we paid for our flights, we paid for our meals, we took buses from the airport to the 3-star hotel that we had to stay in, and lodges and whatever. And very slowly work started trickling in. Within 2 years, we were back in black, in the black. And I would say 1999 was the beginning of the new CKP growth. And within 5 years, our turnover was already 5 times what we had in 1998.
Wow.
So
that is incredible.
That divine intervention really, truly worked. And that's one of the reasons why CKP went outside of Southeast Asia and now has offices in Shanghai, Bangalore, Dubai,
5 offices.
Perth, in addition to KL.
Yeah. I mean, that's truly inspirational, Alburn. And I mean, it goes to show that you stuck to our philosophies and you stuck to our belief system, I would say.
Ethos.
Our ethos, exactly. You mentioned ethos a lot to us
It's
in
like
CKP.
the clothes you wear.
Yeah.
Can you walk around without clothes? No.
Preferably not.
Can you walk around
in some
without
countries.
Croatia, maybe.
Oh gosh. But exactly. And I think that is extremely important. And I think a lot of people that we work with, clients as well, they notice these things. And even if some clients do decide to try others out or just take a different approach on things, they usually do come back and give us a good call and say, hey, maybe it was a bit of a mistake and we'd like to call you back. Because I think at the end of the day, we have very strong values, I think, in CKP.
You know, the thing about this undivided attention, not taking commissions, is that your focus is entirely on serving your client.
Correct.
And when you're that focused, your wisdom rises. And when your wisdom rises, you will be able to pay your bills. You'll be able to thrive. You will be able to be successful because you are focused on one thing, the client. You're not focused on your pocket. You're not trying to fill your pocket with commissions.
Yeah.
So with that undivided attention, you rise, your wisdom grows.
That is true. That is true. That is very true. All right. So heavy topic there. I think it's time for us to take a little break.
Sure.
And so we'll pause here for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. The conversation continues in just a moment. Thank you.
Hospitality is evolving, and so are we. From visionary kitchen design to turnkey consulting, we're shaping the future, one project at a time. Whether you're planning, designing, or optimizing, we're here to help. Explore how we solve hospitality's toughest challenges at www.ckphospitality.com.
Welcome back. So let's jump straight into the next topic, Alburn. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So I think everyone is wondering, at what point did CKP evolve from kitchen planners to something more holistic?
I think it was about awareness. We had done 10 years of consultancy. And we started to see the market responding as well. They said, okay, CKP's success story should be replicated. So people were stepping out and forming their own little boutique consultancies. And so there was a bit of a price war after 10 years.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine?
For about 10 years, we pretty much did everything that was there in the market. But after the 10th year, especially with the crisis, things started to change. And I think crises are always opportunities for re-evaluation.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So,
That is
but
true.
this was one heck of a re-evaluation because it was a very difficult recession in 1997.
Yeah.
But post 1997, we began to see, our business was changing, the market was changing. We were traveling further away from home. We were doing much more complex jobs. And the question that was being regularly posed to us is, why don't you be a one-stop center? Why are you just doing kitchens? You should be doing everything. The client should come to you for anything related to the back of house.
Right.
And so that thought started playing in our minds.
The seed was planted.
Correct. And you see, and also we had the competition that was also doing kitchen design and at a fraction of the fee. And we realized that we were truly in a red ocean. We needed to step away. We had to go back to, and where would you look for this? Where would you look for the answer? You go back to your beginning point. What were we when we started?
Right.
The roots. What were we? We were operational design consultants.
Right.
So now was the time to build on that phrase, operational design consultant. And that's where we started to ramify our services. We started with back of house space planning, and then we went into laundry, and then it became larger and larger until in 2023, we were hired to work on the line at NEOM as a back of house consultant. And we looked at everything from what is possible 30 years from now. And it really opened up our imagination. We saw what was possible. If you can imagine, you can engineer it. And I think that really consolidated our thinking process. It took about 15 to 20 years for us to come to this realization, this is possible. This is what we can do. And then we started to outline the scope of services, and we started doing those kind of complex projects. Typically, you can't do what we call the octopus services for a typical small hotel project. It doesn't need our services. What really truly needs our services would be the large integrated resorts.
I mean, maybe, Alburn, we could go in a little bit more about the octopus services. I think all the viewers are interested to know, to what extent and what is this octopus services that we offer at the moment, and how does that play in to, or may I say, how does it, or which kind of projects will benefit from our octopus services?
Well, I would say the larger ones. So when you have a mixed development, a mixed integrated resort, like, for example, a casino, maybe 1,500 room hotel complex, and then MICE facilities, theme park. When you bring all these different modules into play to create a kind of an entertainment for the would-be customer, you're talking about a lot of complexity, a lot of confluence, a lot of things that overlaps.
Right.
And if you don't deal with the logistics in the right way, you could have a lot of inefficiency, a lot of complication, a lot of breach of hygiene. A lot of problems could arise from this. So it is very, very important you bring in a proper operational back of house consultant who looks into every stream of activity, product, people, flow, material, energy, and think about these individual problems and see what can be done to make it efficient, how you centralize it, how you separate it, how you make it work.
I mean, often there's scale to this even. I mean, we talk about how, the bigger projects need this, but I also notice a lot of the times in smaller singular hotel projects, you need to be looking at these things as well. Like, where does the material come in? Where does the waste go out? Even as what a lot of people may not know that we do is we also look at the verticality of buildings. We see how everything connects and how each function interacts with one another. It's as something as simple as an in-room dining setup. And how does that all stack up and rack up? And how does that go horizontal, vertical? We look at all these things actually. And these are things that we've been doing for a long time.
And we offer it as part of our food service design package.
Correct.
We are not doing cut-paste consultancy.
No.
We're not giving somebody a drawing. We're giving them a thought process.
That is exactly it.
So yes, you would say that in every single CKP project, we do a subset of octopus.
That is true. It's innate.
Yes.
We can't get rid of it. Even if no one, it's always the case, and even if no one asks us, we'll just sort of sit in a meeting and then start asking all these questions and it really initiates a lot of dialogue.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people like that about what we do.
Yes, and people claim that our fees are high, but when they begin to test the waters, they realize what we truly bring to the table, and that's why we earn that phrase. Expensive but reliable.
There's added value.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
it's
added
really
value.
added value. It's not expensive. It's just that they get a lot more for what they're paying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I completely agree. Now, Alvin, going back again to, I was there, when you took the company into the direction going from creative kitchen planners to CKP hospitality consultants. You were with CKP for how long at that point of time? What did that shift represent to you?
Well, I think with this idea of creating a one-stop center, that really happened post 1997. So over the course of the next 10 years, we realized that the name had to change, because clients would look at us and say, "But you're a kitchen planner. Why would we get you on board to tell us what we should do in the back of house? You're a kitchen planner. You're not an operational designer." But there were clients who understood that we could do that, and we were doing that. And so we felt that it was time for a name change. It happened also just about the time when we started the division to do food and beverage consultancy in our enterprise.
I remember that.
When we had people join us,
Mm-hmm.
and we even formulated a method of delivering food and beverage consultancy services for Sheraton Asia Pacific, for all of Sheraton projects. And that was in 2008.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's when we changed the name from Creative Kitchen Planners to CKP Hospitality.
And how, at that point of time, when from Creative Kitchen Planners to CKP Hospitality Consultants, how did our scope expand?
Not immediately, but we were already offering food and beverage consultancy service. We were offering kitchen, laundry, design services. We were offering back of house services. So it was already 4 out of the 8 Octopus services we were doing. And we did that for a long time. We did that for so many projects.
Yeah.
So nothing is born in a single day. It takes time for us to improve ourselves, to consolidate our thinking, and get to a level where clients trust you for what you're delivering to the table.
Yeah, true. Alvin, something comes to mind, the Win Macau story. Do you mind sharing that with the viewers? I love that story because it really tells everyone the kind of consultant you are, and obviously you're our leader, and you're representing CKP, and I think it's a really powerful story and the message is really strong there. Could you share with the viewers the story behind Win Macau, the one that you told us, the one right after New Year's Day?
Win is a very unique client. They're absolute visionaries. We had just completed the Win Macau, and if I'm not mistaken, it was January 2009 or something like this. I had just come into the office on this after the New Year, and I got a call and said, "Alburn, you are needed here in Las Vegas." I said, "Why?" "You just come."
I love this story.
And I had to hop onto the earliest flight possible, and I flew down. I arrived. It was just past midnight. Took me a couple of hours to get to sleep. It was about 2 to 3 a.m.
Wait, hang on. How many hours flight is that? That's
It's,
quite a flight.
21 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't sleep. I was like in a different world, and I'm trying to get to sleep.
Yeah.
And my mind was hyperactive. And I managed to get to sleep at about 3 a.m. and about 5:30, the phone goes off. Somebody wakes me up. And the client's rep was there saying, "Alburn, we're waiting for you outside the hotel. We are here to pick you up and take you to the design office."
Wow.
I was actually quite irritated.
Oh, what a morning call.
2 hours of sleep, and I don't know what I was up against. And so they drove me, they dropped me off, and then they gave me a brief.
Wow.
The main kitchen of Win Macau was separating the 2 parts of the casino floor.
The one that you just did, right? The one that was just handed over.
That's right.
Okay.
It was not even 6 months that the kitchens had been functioning. And
Unbelievable.
the owner felt that you could not go from one part of the casino to the other part of the casino, and it was very, very disruptive to the operation of that floor plate. So the kitchen had to go.
Just like that, 6
Yes.
months later.
And not only that, by removing the kitchen, they could expand its revenue generating propensity.
Right.
So the kitchen was supposed to go upstairs, and here's the kicker.
Oh gosh.
It's got to be designed and built and tested and commissioned in 6 months.
That is insane.
And guess what? They said, take out your pen, Alburn,
Unbelievable.
start sketching. We want the drawings approved by today.
This was on 2 hours of sleep.
Absolutely. So I plodded along,
Unbelievable.
sketched it up, and had it presented, had it approved. And they said, okay, Alburn, you can now go back and sleep. It was 1 PM, and I said, bravo. So, and that kitchen was built, designed and built in 6 months.
Incredible.
And in addition to that, 3 months later, the owner felt they needed an in-casino restaurant, which was like a Chinese diner,
Right.
but high quality. And there I was with Ian Colin and Grant McPherson in Kuala Lumpur, going through concepts and ideas. And we sketched this up, 3 options, and they chose one. And that restaurant was designed and built in 3 months. I have never done anything like that in my entire life. And today, that Red 8, that restaurant called Red 8, is still quoted as the reference point
Wow.
for a Chinese dining restaurant in a casino floor.
That is an incredible
So you can
story.
imagine what kind of crazy things can come out
Yeah.
of very crazy moments.
Yeah. And Reddit is amazing. I've been there, and it's absolutely amazing. So, all right. I mean, I'm sure that everyone would be surprised and shocked and awed at this story. I just love that story. Every time you tell it, I absolutely love that story.
I still can't believe that I went through that, because I say it's unreal.
Also, I know you have a lot of anecdotes and stories to tell about clients and projects. Could you share the one with Disney? I love that one, just to
Oh, that was a real funny
tickle
one.
everyone a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was 2004, and my partner then was Peter Howe, and I was supposed to travel, and we got a call from Disney Hong Kong, and they said that they wanted to fly down and meet us and talk to us and see our operations. We had submitted a fee proposal, so I said to Peter, you got to play the host. I'm going to be away, so you got to tell me what happened and how it went. So obviously Disney came down with one of the in-house consultants, and I came back from my trip, and I asked Peter, how did it go? He said, you know what? Disney just came down to check to see whether we were another Mickey Mouse operation
I
like
love
them.
that. It kills me every
laughed.
time.
Every time I talk about that, I laugh because it
Mickey
was
Mouse
so
operation.
funny.
but how accurate?
Yeah. But in a way, yes, it was. I went to the Disney properties in the US, and it was unreal walking through the buffets where
Wow.
kids buffet counters were 650 high, and
Wow.
yes, talking about a Mickey Mouse operation, it was a different kind of a Mickey Mouse operation. Complex, beautiful, imaginative.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that story, by the way. Now, Alburn, what makes, like right now we have 5 offices across the globe today, and what makes you the proudest when you look at what you've built globally?
Interesting. You see, I cannot draw attention to myself. It's not about me. I think too many consultants, too many businessmen are building an enterprise. They forget that they should, in reality, be building people. I have several colleagues who are going into retirement phase now, and one of the things they're struggling with is that they don't have succession plan. And I think what I did right was not build an enterprise. What I did right was build the next generation of leaders. And in doing that, I gave them a vision, a mission, a purpose, something to believe in, something to aspire towards. I built humans. I did not build a company.
You did.
So
You did.
when I leave the legacy of growing knowledge and wisdom that continues to grow in the next generation of leaders. And I hope they will do the same with their succession plans too.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, I'm part of CKP, and I know that you're constantly talking about how do we grow people. You're always encouraging the leadership to grow. You're always investing a lot of your time and effort to impart knowledge, and I think that's something really strong about CKP. Honestly, I'm very grateful to that too, Alburn. So,
Well, it's been wonderful for me to journey with you all as well. And when you impart, to tell you the truth, I benefit more from it. I'm not giving
How
of
so?
myself. I'm
Yeah.
getting it back, you know.
True. I guess it's a good way to look at that. So I think we're going to take a little quick break here, Alburn. So we'll pause here for a quick break. Don't go away. The conversation continues in just a moment.
At CKP Hospitality Consultants, we turn bold visions into operational realities. From luxury hotels to high-performance food halls, our team delivers custom food service design solutions that balance innovation, efficiency, and guest experience. With every project, we blend creativity and strategy to elevate hospitality spaces worldwide.
And we're back. Let's pick up where we left off. All right, so now looking to the future, we have a lot of Gen Zs now joining the firm, Alburn. With that, as you know, comes with new work styles, new attitude, new values even. How do you see them shaping the next era of CKP?
Gen Zs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Those folks.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer the question, but do we have a choice? That's
No.
the generation we've been handed. That's the generation that will lead the future.
Indeed.
Okay, I have sons, and my sons are all Gen Zs.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of differences about them. They're unique in their own way because they grew up with technology. Technology is not something outside of them. It is integrated into their way of thinking. So whenever they think, whenever they respond, whenever they are processing their thoughts, it's always integrated with technology. You and I would go to a friend of ours, make a phone call and say, "Oh, what do you think about this?" But they would Instagram, they will text to their audience and say, "What do you think about what I've seen in this restaurant? What's your opinion?"
Yeah.
And they will get the world's opinion, their generation's opinion on a subject. It's a very different world. They also don't like to be cajoled into a corner and say, you got to work, clock in, clock out. You know, they don't believe in this prison system.
They don't like the structure.
No, they don't. They don't. And they have to work in teams. They have to work at leisure. They want to have the freedom to do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different bunch of people. But it's not to say that they cannot be leaders.
Right.
You see, this generation largely grew up with absent parents.
Mm-hmm.
They were given devices, presents, approvals, and gifts for even just participating. I think we parents probably didn't do our job that well. You know, we were busy chasing after our careers, and our children were left to their own wiles, so to speak. So what Gen Zs do need are leaders who will mentor them as parents, not as bosses. And I have seen this experiment in action. And I gleaned from the subject in concern, and this Gen Z person told me how he so much appreciated this journey with the leader, going to meetings, meeting clients, walking through facilities jointly together,
Wow.
and just gleaning from this Q&A interaction.
Right.
That's like a parent-child relationship.
In a way,
Learning
it
to
is.
walk and following the parent, and they're missing that, and they need that. So don't take a Gen Z and throw them into the deep end of your office and say, okay, listen to the old guys tell you what to do. Let them govern you. No, they won't work.
Strong
They will-
advice there.
yes.
That's really good advice, actually. I mean, tackling Gen Z is quite a challenge.
Yes.
And, you know, I think generationally, everyone has gone through this. Different generations have had to adapt to the next generation. But the difference is that Gen Zs are way more resourceful in a way that they can just tap on to knowledge and information through their phones even. So it's just a different breed.
Very intelligent and very resourceful.
Very intelligent.
But they have to be taught the old values as well, because, you know, society is about embracing the old and beginning the new.
That's right.
So Gen Z is about beginning the new, but they have nobody
don't have the
imparted
old.
to them the old.
That's right.
So
That
somebody
wisdom.
somebody has to give them the wisdom of the old ways, and then they need to integrate that and do it their
That's
own way.
right.
Don't force them into a keyhole.
That's very interesting. What would you advise new consultants, like getting into the industry? What would you advise them?
I would say that they will need to interact with the fraternity. They should be in FCSI. They should talk to other consultants. They should explore possibilities of working together with them jointly on jobs. I think it is very, very important for them to be part of a community and
Agree.
not go it on their own.
I mean, you can learn so much just by interacting with others.
Yes.
Like, that's one of the things that FCSI does provide, I think. Like, you have a wealth of knowledge around you and wisdom.
Yes.
Never mind knowledge, wisdom
Yes.
around you. And it's just a matter of like interacting, fraternizing, and, just getting that information into and downloading it onto you, basically. But interaction is key. Communication is key. Would you say,
Absolutely.
Alburn? Yeah.
And then the truth is, you don't know what you don't know. So when you work with another
Exactly.
consultant, you realize that they're coming from a different angle, completely different from yours.
That's
So
true.
how would you know that unless you explore that possibility?
And if you haven't explored that, how would you know
Then you
what
are
you haven't
devoid of it,
explored? Exactly. So, Alban, I'm curious to know, and I'm sure everyone else is as well. If you had to choose what value to bring into the next 40 years, what would that be?
I think if you're dealing with raising the next generation of Gen Z as your potential leaders,
Yeah.
you've got to address certain crucial things. And one of those crucial things is to teach them to embrace boredom, because they've grown up with flipping screens. If they don't like something, they flip it, they go on to the next.
It's a quick fix.
A job is like that. If I don't like the job, I flip, I go on to the next job. And it's all about changing your experience. It's not about learning to stick to something and plodding along and overcoming an adversity and building yourself despite the adversity. That thing has not been taught.
Seeing it through.
Correct. So they get bored very easily. And this is an interesting one where I was speaking to a Gen Z person who was a chef on a kitchen floor, and he was very, very troubled and very upset. 22-year-old who said, "I'm sitting on it for too long. My chef is just asking me to slice vegetables." I said, "Why is he asking you to slice vegetables? I mean, for 2 weeks I've been doing this, just slicing vegetables. Okay, fine. You got to learn somewhere. You got to start somewhere." But he said, "But I can do a lot more. In my previous job, I used to be managing an entire cooking line.
Right.
And here I'm slicing vegetables." I said, "Why is your chef asking you to slice vegetables?" He said, "That's because I'm unable to slice everything evenly. He wants me to slice without looking at the product." I said, "Maybe he's got a reason to do that. You got to
Right.
poach an egg 1,000 times before you can do it without thinking.
Right.
So you got to embrace boredom." He said, "Yeah, but it's too boring. I want to leave and join another kitchen."
A restlessness.
Yeah, he was restless. I said, "But embrace boredom, and I tell you, you will find something quite different about it." So he took the advice and he kept slicing. And as he was doing this, automatically, slicing, he began to slice evenly. And guess what? He was able to look around, observe, understand the dynamics, what was lacking, what was good, who was doing something right, who was doing something wrong. He became self-aware.
So he
observant.
wasn't just slicing.
It was more than that.
That's right.
And he didn't realize he would not have known it if he had jumped job.
That is true.
And guess what? Within a week after that, his chef came up to me and said, "Okay, time for you to get onto the line."
There you go.
So he said, my, I never realized that embracing boredom is so powerful. Now I've become more self-aware. I'm more observant. I'm not looking to jump. I'm looking to see.
That is wisdom.
Yes.
That is wisdom in every sense. So, Alban, now, what does the future of hospitality design look like to you?
We were doing this this exercise of imagination, or hyper imagination, as I would say, when we were working on the line. And the picture that comes to mind is augmented reality. I think there will come a day when we won't go to office anymore because time is so precious, the air is so unclean,
Yeah.
transportation is so expensive, and offices are no longer needed. Now we're talking about Gen Z, the grandchildren of Gen Z. They want to be in the comfort of their own homes. They appreciate relationships. They want to be with their families. They want to be probably 100 miles away from home because property is getting expensive around
Yeah.
the cities. So, what do you think they will do? This is the scenario. Dad wakes up in the morning, brushes his teeth, sets up breakfast, has breakfast with wife and kid, and says, "Okay, my dear, I have to get to work now." Goes to the room next door, puts on all his equipment, and steps into a world of augmented reality. So he finds himself in a room where all his participants are there from different companies. And it is an office that has been designed in augmented reality. So there are consultants who actually design offices for augmented reality. It's a space that has been rented
Right.
from the world of augmented reality. So it is a different world.
Virtual world.
Correct. And then he has to make a presentation on his drawing. So he pulls it up from his screen because we're not talking about a world where technology meets human.
Right.
We're talking about how a human enters into technology and interacts with technology.
Wow.
Pulls up a layout, flicks it onto the walls.
Can you imagine that?
Nobody has to hurt his neck. Nobody has to hurt her neck, and
That's
they're looking
pretty
at walls.
specific.
Correct. And then he pulls up his drawings, and his drawings take a 3D extrusion.
That is insane. Holographic.
Correct. And you can take building blocks and reorganize them around. You could review your drawings in 3 dimension in almost a holographic sense. And I see this as not a possibility, but a reality. And I think everything that we do now must direct our enterprises to that possibility and that eventuality. Maybe we may not be able to take it there as probably Gen X or Gen Y, but Gen Z will start the building blocks.
Well, speak of yourself. I'm not Gen X or Gen Y. But anyways, I mean, that is probably a good business to look into to whoever is watching for the future.
Absolutely.
But that's some pretty sci-fi stuff
So
there.
Don't ignore your Gen Z
No,
because
sir.
they hold the keys to your future.
Then there's Gen Alpha. Let's not
Gen
forget
Alpha
about
is
Gen
coming.
Alpha. Yeah. There's
Gen-
Gen
that's
Z.
your kids.
Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's some pretty interesting stuff, Alban. And I
Sure.
think, I think definitely I'm so excited to see what's in the future. May it be that we're still around to see it and witness it ourselves or not, but
Yep.
definitely holographic technology, augmented reality, these things are already gaining a lot of traction and momentum today even. And it'll be really interesting to see what is in store for us in the future in hospitality design. And even now we're designing in 3D with BIM and Revit and all these softwares. So very interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
So now, last question I have for you. When you think about the next generation of leadership within CKP, what do you hope they inherit and what do you hope they reinvent?
I think that they have to embrace the ethos. The ethos of CKP is not technology based, it's human based, it's ethical based, it's morality based, and those things are timeless. But where I think they have to hone their skills and where they have to get into uncharted territories is to complete what we have done. We began with operational design,
Yep.
and we have gone through a journey and we have gone back to the roots of operational design and reinvented its methodology. We call it Octopus. The next generation, I foresee, is going to bring in a dimension of experience, operational interaction. You see, what's going to happen in the future is, and as I already see it now, very few people are going into, very few young people are going into the hospitality trade. Very few
It's a
people
pity.
yeah, it's a pity because they find that hospitality service is not gelling with their persona.
Right.
Gen Zs do not like to interact with too many humans. It makes them anxious a little bit. And I think it's only going to get worse as you get into alpha and so forth and so on. And not only that, they are all rich kids. Their parents worked very hard, so they're rich kids, and they're going into interesting things like YouTube development,
Yeah,
and
it's a
stuff like that.
profession, YouTuber,
Yeah, exactly.
TikToker.
Correct. Yes. So therefore, you don't see any more people getting to the hospitality trade, and I dread to think that one day I will be served by robots. I dread to think that a property that has got 10 nice restaurants will eventually be one restaurant because it has to serve predictable food that is automated, food that is spat out of a robot or a machine. I would hate to think that. But what does that tell you? What does that tell you about your future leaders?
That's right.
I think hospitality is going to need a lot of help on the software rather than the hardware. Hardware is going to shrink. Kitchens are going to become fewer in number. But people will still seek out for entertainment. Integrated resorts will be there. Master planning is going to be needed. However, they're going to need a lot of insight on how to bring operational software, the software part of hospitality, into their properties. And that's where CKP has an opportunity to fill that vacuum.
Powerful stuff there, Alburn. Very powerful stuff. You know what's coming to mind right now? The Jetsons. Do you remember that cartoon back in the day where
Of course.
they serve you like little pill things
Yes.
and you put water in and that forms your food? I hope that's not the future of
I hope
hospitality. I don't foresee myself eating
I'm not
pills.
going to Mars.
I'm not going to Mars, sister. Brother, I'm staying on Earth.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, just to wrap up, anything you'd like to say to the team as we celebrate this 40th year milestone?
Yes.
Big one here.
I would say 40 years is not about ourselves. I think we have benefited from the graciousness of others. And as long as we stay humble and we have this attitude of servanthood, that we are in the business of serving others and meeting other people's needs, including our own people, I think we're on the right track. 40 years will easily become 80 years as long as we continue to keep that mindset.
Oh my gosh, 80 years.
That's far ahead into the future. Your generation Alpha will be
Oh
celebrating
my
that.
gosh, I'm afraid. Help me. Thank you so much, Alburn, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you've imparted onto us. And thank you for your time today, especially.
Oh,
You came all the way
was a
into
pleasure.
Dubai.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for that. CKP journey is not just about building or drawings. It's about people, purpose, and enduring trust, I would say. Right,
That's
Alburn?
right.
Would you say that?
That's right.
Here's to the next 40 years
Looking forward to it.
with ethos
Yep.
as the compass.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, a quick rapid fire, Alburn. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do it. What one word to describe CKP?
Trustworthy.
A leadership quality you value most.
Integrity.
What drives you every day?
Challenges.
A book you recommend?
The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Your proudest CKP moment?
CKP being ranked top 5 in the world for the work we did on Bellagio, Las Vegas.
One thing never to compromise on.
Don't cut corners.
Best advice you've received.
Beware of the knowledge curve. What you think is proprietary knowledge will someday become common knowledge, and with it, the price goes down.
Brilliant. A quality clients remember.
CKP asks 1,000 questions and confound the way people do things.
CKP's legacy in one phrase.
Facilities that we create do not need renovation for at least another 20 years.
Exactly. What's next for you?
The next generation of leaders.
Bravo. Thank you, Alburn.